There are words that pass through the ears, and there are words that stop the heart. In the cold, white room of the city's most expensive hospital, a billionaire stood frozen, not by fear, not by loss of money, but by 6 weak words spoken by a dying child. His daughter's lips trembled. Her voice was barely a whisper. Yet those words struck him harder than any market crash, any courtroom loss, any enemy ever could. And in that moment, the most powerful man in the city realized something terrifying. He had fired the only person who truly loved his child. But elders say, when the drum of regret beats, it is always too late to dance away. Let me take you back to the beginning, before the hospital, before the firing, before the words that froze him forever. In the heart of the city stood the Adebayo mansion, tall and proud like a king who had forgotten how to bow. Its gates were gold-plated, its floors polished marble, and its walls carried the silence of wealth without warmth. This was the home of Mr. Darius Adebayo, a billionaire feared in boardrooms, respected in politics, and whispered about in villages far beyond the city. People said, Darius Adebayo does not lose. Darius Adebayo does not forgive. Darius Adebayo does not listen. And sadly, they were right. Darius believed emotions were weaknesses. Love was a distraction. Kindness was a luxury for those who could afford failure. Yet inside that massive mansion lived a small soul who softened even the hardest stones. Her name was Amara. Amara was his only daughter. She was thin, fragile, and carried a quiet sadness in her eyes, like a bird born inside a cage made of gold. Her mother had died when Amara was very young, leaving behind silence that money could never fill. Doctors came, tutors came, toys came. But love? Love came quietly, wearing an apron. Her name was Nalia. Nalia was not educated in schools, but life had taught her lessons deeper than books. She was hired as a maid, nothing more, nothing less. She cleaned floors, folded clothes, and cooked meals that no one praised. But to Amara, Nalia was not a maid. She was morning laughter. She was bedtime stories. She was warm hands during nightmares. While Darius ruled empires during the day, Nalia ruled Amara's heart in the quiet corners of the night. Nalia wore simple clothes, often soft yellow fabric with faded red patterns, the kind village women wore without thinking twice. Her presence was calm, her voice gentle, her patience endless, and that was what made her dangerous. Because in houses of pride, kindness always looks suspicious. Darius noticed something. Whenever Amara fell sick, she asked for Nalia, not him. Whenever Amara smiled, Nalia was nearby. Whenever Amara cried, Nalia knew before anyone else. One evening, Darius stood at the top of the staircase, watching from the shadows. Amara sat on the floor, weak and tired, her head resting in Nalia's lap. Nalia softly hummed an old village tune, one elders used to calm restless children under moonlight. Darius clenched his jaw. Why does she depend on her so much? He muttered. His assistant, standing nearby, replied carefully, She spends more time with the child, sir. Darius scoffed. Time creates attachment. Attachment creates control. That night, suspicion planted its seed. And elders say, a seed of pride grows faster than a forest of truth. In the following days, Darius began to watch Nalia more closely. He noticed how Amara listened to her, how Amara trusted her, how Amara's eyes followed her everywhere. To Darius, it felt like something was being taken from him. Authority, ownership, control. One morning, during breakfast, Amara refused to eat. I want Nalia to feed me, she whispered. Darius slammed his hand on the table. She is a maid, Amara, not your mother. The child flinched. Nalia lowered her eyes and quietly stepped back. But something broke that day. Not loudly, not visibly, but deeply. Whispers began among the staff. She's too close to the child. She's influencing her. Who knows what village magic she uses? In African homes, gossip is like smoke. It spreads faster when the fire is hidden. Darius listened. He always listened to fear more than truth. Then came the mistake. The one decision that would cost him everything. One afternoon, after a minor misunderstanding, a missing necklace that was later found untouched, Darius called everyone into the grand hall. Staff stood trembling. Marble floors echoed with silence. Amara clutched Nalia's hand tightly. Darius pointed. "Nalia," he said coldly, "you are dismissed." Gasps filled the room. Amara's fingers tightened. "No, Papa," she whispered. "Please." Darius did not look at her. "I will not have emotional manipulation in my house," he continued. "Pack your things. Leave today." Nalia knelt, not to beg, but to thank. "May your house never know hunger," she said softly. "May your child always be protected." Amara screamed. That scream was the first warning. But Darius did not listen. As Nalia walked out the mansion gates, wearing her yellow dress with red threads, the sky darkened. And elders say, when goodness leaves your home, the walls remember. That night, Amara collapsed. And by morning, the hospital doors opened. But what Amara said inside that room, those words are where the story truly begins. Elders say, blood may make you family, but love makes you home. Before the shouting, before the firing, before the hospital machines began to speak louder than prayers, there existed a bond so quiet, so pure, that even the walls of the Adebayo mansion had learned to listen. Amara did not remember her mother's face clearly. She remembered warmth. She remembered a soft voice. She remembered hands that wiped her tears without asking why. And after death stole her mother, those memories slowly found a new shape. That shape was Nalia. Every morning before sunrise, when the mansion still slept under its heavy curtains, Nalia would quietly enter Amara's room. She never switched on the bright lights. Instead, she opened a window just enough for golden morning light to touch the child's face. "Good morning, my little sunrise," Nalia would whisper. Amara would smile before opening her eyes. That smile, it never appeared for doctors, never for tutors, never for toys imported from countries Amara could not pronounce, only for Nalia. Nalia would dress her gently, often choosing yellow dresses with small red ribbons, colors that made Amara look alive instead of fragile. "You look like hope today," Nalia would say. "And you look like home," Amara would reply. Amara was a sick child. Her illness did not scream loudly, but it whispered constantly. Some days she could run. Other days she could barely breathe without pain. Darius paid the best doctors, flew specialists from overseas, and installed machines that beat day and night. Yet, strangely, when Nalia held Amara's hand, the pain softened. Doctors noticed it. "She responds better emotionally when the maid is around," one said carefully. Darius frowned. "Emotion does not cure illness," he replied. "But elders know. What medicine cannot heal, love sometimes can." At night, when thunder rolled across the city and rain struck the mansion windows like angry spirits, Amara would cry out in fear. Nalia always arrived before the echo faded. She would sit beside Amara, pull her close, and tell her stories. Stories of villages where trees listened. Stories of girls who survived storms. Stories where pain was not permanent. "One day," Nalia would say softly, "you will be strong enough to protect others." Amara would ask, "Will you still be with me then?" Nalia would pause just a little, then smile. "Always," she said, even though her heart knew the world does not respect promises made by the poor. Darius watched from a distance. He saw how Amara leaned into Nalia, how her laughter returned only when Nalia was near, how the maid had become a pillar in a house built on wealth, not warmth. And it angered him, because Darius had built everything alone. No one had held his hand when he struggled. No one had whispered hope into his ears. He had survived by being hard. And now, this woman was teaching his daughter softness. One evening, Darius returned early from work. Unannounced, he stopped outside Amara's room. Inside, Nalia sat on the floor, Amara resting against her chest. Nalia was teaching her how to breathe through pain. "Inhale slowly," Nalia said. "Pretend you are pulling light into your chest." Amara followed. "Now exhale," Nalia continued, "and release the darkness." Amara smiled weakly. "It works." Darius felt something unfamiliar tighten inside him. Jealousy, not of love, but of connection. The next day, Darius called the head servant. "That maid," he said, "she spends too much time with my daughter." "She is only caring for her, sir," the man replied. Darius's voice hardened. Care has limits. From that day, invisible walls rose inside the mansion. Nalia felt it. Servants avoided her eyes. Conversation stopped when she entered rooms. Whispers followed her footsteps. She thinks she's the child's mother. She will replace the father. She is crossing her place. Nalia said nothing, because elders say, a quiet heart often carries the heaviest storms. Amara noticed a change. "Nalia," she whispered one afternoon, "why is everyone angry with you?" Nalia forced a smile. "Sometimes," she said, "people fear what they do not understand." "Papa fears you?" Amara asked innocently. Nalia did not answer. She only hugged her tighter. Then came the day that broke everything. Amara was weaker than usual, her breathing shallow. Doctors advised rest. Darius insisted on meetings. Nalia stayed by Amara's side, holding her hand. Darius entered the room and stopped. "Nalia," he said sharply, "why are you here?" "I told you to clean the guest wing." Amara squeezed Nalia's hand. "She helps me breathe," Amara whispered. Darius snapped. "She is not a doctor." Nalia stood slowly. "I will leave," she said softly. "But please, let her calm down first." Darius pointed to the door. "Now." Amara began to cry. Real tears, the kind that shake the body. Darius walked out, and something inside Amara collapsed. That night, Amara's fever returned. Doctors rushed. Machines beeped. Darius stood helpless, watching his empire fail, to save the one thing he loved. And somewhere deep inside the mansion, Nalia knelt alone, praying, not for her job, but for a child who felt like her own. Morning came with bad news, and with it, the beginning of irreversible regret. Elders say, when pride becomes louder than love, even truth begins to whisper. The Adebayo mansion woke up that morning wearing silence like a mourning cloth. No laughter, no footsteps rushing, no soft humming from Amara's room, only tension. Darius Adebayo sat at the long dining table, staring at his untouched breakfast. His phone buzzed, board members waiting, deals calling, but his mind was elsewhere. On the staircase above, Amara coughed. That sound should have moved him, but pride had already sealed his ears. Darius had convinced himself of one thing. Nalia was a threat, not because she was bad, but because she was too good. In the world Darius ruled, affection was currency, and anyone who owned too much of it held power. And Nalia held Amara's heart. That was unforgivable. By midday, whispers had already reached the staff quarters. They say she will be dismissed today. The master is angry. The child cried all night. Nalia heard everything. She continued folding clothes slowly, carefully, as if each crease was a prayer. She had seen this before in villages. When a poor woman becomes too important, elders warn, never shine brighter than the roof that shelters you. Amara sensed it. She clung to Nalia's hand tighter than usual. "Don't go today," Amara whispered. Nalia smiled gently, hiding her fear. "I am not going anywhere." But her heart trembled. The call came in the afternoon, all staff to the main hall. The tone was cold, official, final. Nalia's breath caught. Amara tried to stand, but collapsed back on the bed. "I'm tired," she said weakly. Nalia knelt beside her. "Rest, my sunrise," she whispered. "I'll be back." Amara shook her head. "No, please." Nalia hugged her once more, deeply. Then she walked away. The grand hall filled slowly. Servants lined the walls. Security stood alert. The chandelier above reflected faces filled with fear. Darius entered. He wore a deep red suit with golden cufflinks, power stitched into every seam. His eyes landed on Nalia. She stood calmly, wearing her simple yellow dress with red threads, hands folded, eyes lowered. The contrast was painful. "Nalia," Darius said loudly, stepped forward. She did. You have crossed professional boundaries, he continued. You have emotionally manipulated my daughter. Gasps echoed. Nalia raised her eyes for the first time. I only loved her, she said softly. That sentence angered him more than any lie could have. This house does not pay for love, Darius snapped. It pays for service. He paused. You are fired. The words fell like stones. At that exact moment, Amara screamed. Her thin voice echoed from the upper floor. Papa, no. Everyone froze. Darius did not turn. Security, he said. Escort her out. Nalia did not beg, did not cry, did not argue. She knelt. May your daughter live, she said. May your heart one day soften. Then she stood and walked away. Behind her, Amara collapsed. Elders say, when goodness leaves, sickness often follows. Rain fell the moment Nalia stepped outside the gates. Not heavy rain, the slow, cold kind that soaks the soul. She walked away without looking back. Inside the mansion, chaos erupted. Doctors rushed in. Machines beeped wildly. Amara's breathing weakened. Where's the maid? A nurse asked. Darius snapped. She is gone. The nurse hesitated. She calms the child. Darius turned away. That night, Amara slipped in and out of consciousness. She called one name, Nalia, Nalia. Each time, Darius flinched. Each time, guilt crept closer, but pride still stood guard. By morning, Amara was moved to the hospital, the same hospital where power usually bowed to Darius. But not today. Today, the machine spoke louder than money. Darius stood beside the bed, helpless. Amara opened her eyes slowly. She looked at him, not angry, not afraid, just tired. Papa, she whispered. Yes, my child. He leaned close. Her lips trembled. And then she said the words that would freeze him forever. Elders say, when a child speaks in the doorway of death, even the proudest heart must listen. The hospital room smelled of medicine and quiet prayers. White walls, soft lights, machines humming like tired spirits refusing to sleep. This was not a place for power, not a place for money, not a place where titles mattered. Yet Darius Adebayo, the man who owned half the skyline, stood there trembling like a leaf caught in the wrong season. His daughter lay before him, small, fragile, so still that even breathing felt like a miracle borrowed from tomorrow. Amara's chest rose slowly, then fell. Each breath sounded like it might be her last. Darius reached for her hand. It felt cold. For the first time in his life, fear entered him without permission. Papa? The word slipped out of Amara's lips like a fading echo. Darius leaned closer instantly. Yes, my child. Papa is here. His voice cracked. He did not recognize it. Amara's eyes opened halfway. They searched the room weakly, as if looking for something or someone she needed to survive. Where is Nalia? She whispered. The machines continued their rhythm. Beep, beep, beep. Darius froze. Of all the questions she could ask, this was the one he feared most. She went away, he said quietly. Amara frowned. You sent her away, she corrected him. It was not anger. It was not accusation. It was truth, spoken by a child too tired to lie. Darius swallowed hard. Yes, he admitted, but Papa is here now. Amara's fingers tightened slightly around his. You are always busy, she whispered. The words pierced him. I work for you, he said quickly. Everything I do is for you. Amara shook her head slowly. No, Papa, she said. You work for money. The room felt smaller. Outside the glass walls, nurses paused. Doctors watched silently. They had seen this before. Children often spoke clearest when time was running out. Amara's breathing became shallow. Darius panicked. Doctor, he shouted. Please. Amara squeezed his hand again. Papa, listen. That word. Listen. The thing he had never learned to do. He bent down, his forehead nearly touching hers. I'm listening, he whispered. Her lips trembled. Her eyes filled with tears. She loved me, Amara said softly. Darius nodded. Yes, she did. No, Amara corrected him gently. Not like you. The truth burned. She stayed when I cried. Amara continued. She sang when it hurt. She didn't leave when I was weak. Darius closed his eyes. Each word struck him harder than the last. And when you sent her away, Amara paused, struggling for breath. Something inside me broke. The machine beeped faster. Nurses stepped closer. Darius felt his world slipping. Please, he whispered. Please forgive Papa. Amara looked at him with eyes too old for her body. I'm not angry, she said. That was worse. Then she gathered what little strength she had left. Her fingers trembled. Her voice dropped lower. The room leaned in. And then she said it. The sentence. The one sentence. The one sentence that froze a billionaire where he stood. Papa, if I die today, it is because you sent my mother away. Silence exploded. The words did not echo. They settled. Inside Darius's chest. Inside his bones. Inside his soul. Mother. Not maid. Not worker. Mother. His knees weakened. What did you say? He whispered. Amara's eyes never left his. Nalia was my mother, she said calmly. She chose me. Every day. The machine stuttered. Beep, beep, bee. Amara coughed violently. Doctors rushed in. Sir, please step back. Darius refused to move. No, he shouted. She's talking to me. Amara reached for him weakly. Papa? Her voice was barely sound now. Don't punish love, she whispered. Please. Her hand slipped from his grasp. The machine screamed. Flat. No. No. Darius cried. Doctors pushed him aside. Hands pressed. Voices shouted. Clear. Shock. Nothing. Again. Nothing. Elders say, when destiny closes a door, even thunder cannot reopen it. The doctor stepped back slowly. I'm sorry, he said. Those two words crushed empires. Darius collapsed to the floor. The room spun. His ears rang. All he could hear was her voice. You sent my mother away. Hours later, Darius sat alone in the same room. The machines were quiet now. Too quiet. Amara lay still, her face peaceful, as if she had finally stopped fighting. Darius touched her forehead. Cold. He screamed. Not loudly, but deeply. A sound that came from a place pride had never touched. That night, back at the mansion, Darius wandered into Amara's room. Everything was untouched. Her yellow dress with red ribbons lay folded neatly. He picked it up, pressed it to his chest, and for the first time in his life, the billionaire cried like a child. Elders say, some lessons arrive wrapped in death, so they are never forgotten. And in that moment, Darius Adebayo understood. He had not just fired a maid. He had fired love. He had fired healing. He had fired the only thing keeping his daughter alive. Elders say, regret does not whisper. It waits. Then it roars when escape is no longer possible. The day Amara died, the city did not stop. Cars still moved. Markets still opened. Money still changed hands. But inside the Adebayo mansion, time collapsed. Darius Adebayo returned home alone. No sirens. No assistants. No phone calls. For the first time in decades, the billionaire walked through his own gate without purpose. The guards bowed. He did not notice. Inside, the mansion felt unfamiliar. Too big. Too empty. Too quiet. Every step echoed like an accusation. The walls that once reflected power now reflected absence. Darius loosened his tie. His red tie, once a symbol of authority, and let it fall to the floor. It landed silently, like everything else that mattered now. He walked upstairs. Amara's room door was still open. He stopped. Fear gripped him, because entering that room meant accepting the truth. Still, he stepped inside. The room smelled faintly of lavender and children's soap. Her bed was neatly made, her books stacked carefully, her toys untouched. Time had frozen here. Darius walked slowly, touching objects as if they might burn him. He picked up a small wooden bracelet. On the inside, carved unevenly, were 3 words. Nalia loves me. His knees gave way. He sat on the floor. And for the first time since childhood, Darius Adebayo wept without restraint. Not the silent tears of embarrassment, but loud, broken sobs. The kind elders warn about. The kind that come when a man realizes he cannot undo his greatest mistake. That night, sleep refused him. Every time he closed his eyes, Amara's voice returned. You sent my mother away. Mother. The word sliced him open again and again. He remembered dismissing it. She is just a maid. Just. How often had he used that word to strip people of worth? Just staff. Just workers. Just replaceable. And now, the only irreplaceable thing was gone. Near dawn, a knock came at the door. Soft. Hesitant. Darius did not respond. The door opened slowly. It was Mama Efua, the oldest woman on the household staff. She had served 3 generations of the Adebayo family. In African homes, elders do not speak unless truth demands it. She bowed slightly. Sir, she said, forgive me. Darius waved weakly. Say what you came to say. Mama Efua took a deep breath. The necklace, she said, the one you accused Nalia of stealing. Darius stiffened. It was found untouched, in the drawer where Nalia hid it, protected from burglars. Silence followed. Then Mama Efua added the sentence that shattered what remained of his defenses. She refused a better job offer last year because she did not want to leave Amara. Darius looked up slowly. What? She said. Mama Efua continued. A child who is already sick does not survive abandonment. The words hit harder than Amara's final sentence. Because this time, they came too late. After Mama Efua left, the truth kept coming, like a flood that breaks a dam. Another staff member confessed. She prayed every night for the child. Another, she sent half her salary to her village, but never complained. Another, she defended you, sir, even when others blamed you. Each revelation added weight to Darius's chest. He could not breathe. By morning, the elders arrived. Not police, not lawyers. Elders, men and women from the community. Those who still remember when wealth did not decide worth. They sat in a circle in the mansion's main hall. Darius stood before them like a child caught in unforgivable error. One elder spoke. You called us because your heart is restless. Darius nodded. Another elder added, a restless heart is a sign of guilt. Darius broke. I killed my child, he said hoarsely. The elders did not interrupt. In African tradition, confession must be allowed to breathe. I thought I was protecting her, he continued. I thought love made her weak. He laughed bitterly. But my pride killed her faster than any illness. An elder leaned forward. Pride, he said, is a disease wealth cannot cure. They spoke of Nalia, of how the village knew her, of how she was known as a woman who loves without counting. Darius closed his eyes. That was what Amara had needed. Not counting, not measuring, not controlling, just loving. That afternoon, Darius made a decision, not as a billionaire, but as a father who had failed. Find her, he said to his assistant, wherever she is. No lawyers, he added. No money. I will go myself. The assistant hesitated. Sir, your reputation. Darius turned sharply. My reputation buried my daughter. By evening, word spread. The mighty Darius Adebayo was leaving his mansion alone. No convoy, no guards, no press. Elders watched silently, because elders know. A man who seeks forgiveness must walk naked of pride. That night, Darius stood in Amara's room one last time. He picked up the yellow dress with red ribbons, held it to his chest. I am sorry, he whispered into the emptiness. Then he turned off the light and walked into the darkness he had created. Far away, in a quiet village, Nalia sat outside a small house. She looked at the moon and whispered Amara's name. Her heart felt heavy, but she did not yet know. That regret had finally found its voice. Elders say, when a man truly seeks forgiveness, the road will first strip him of his name. Darius Adebayo had traveled the world in private jets, crossed oceans without feeling their depth, and signed papers that shifted the fate of thousands. But this journey, this one, began with a single step taken without applause. No driver, no escort, no armor of wealth. Just a man carrying regret heavier than any suitcase. The road out of the city was long and unforgiving. Dust clung to his polished shoes, dulling their shine. The sun pressed down on him like judgment. People stared, not with awe but confusion. Some whispered, "Is that him? The billionaire? Why does he walk like a common man?" Darius heard every word, and for the first time, he did not correct them, because today he was less than common. At a roadside stall, an old woman sold water in reused bottles. Darius stopped. "How much?" he asked. She squinted at him, recognizing his face. "For you?" she said. "I don't sell to people like you." The words cut, but he nodded. "I understand." He turned to leave. The woman called after him. "You can carry gold," she said, "but if your hands are dirty with tears, water will not quench you." Darius walked on, because elders say the journey of atonement offers no shortcuts. By evening his feet ached. Blisters formed. The sun dipped low, staining the sky red and yellow, colors Amara once loved. His chest tightened. He remembered her laugh. He remembered Nalia singing softly while combing her hair. And the memory broke him again. He fell to his knees on the side of the road. Cars passed. People stared. But Darius did not care, because grief does not ask permission. When night came, he slept beneath the open sky. No walls, no locks, no guards. Just stars watching a man who had finally become small. At dawn, he reached the village. It was quiet. Simple homes. Children playing barefoot. Elders sitting under a large baobab tree. And there, at the edge of the village, he saw her, Nalia. She was sweeping the ground outside a modest home. Her dress was plain. Her headscarf faded. But her posture remained the same. Straight, dignified, unbroken. Darius stopped walking. His heart pounded like a drum calling ancestors. He stepped forward. "Nalia," he said softly. She froze. Slowly she turned. Their eyes met. The air tightened. No anger crossed her face. No joy either. Only a deep, tired sadness. She did not bow. She did not speak. She simply looked at him. That look crushed him more than insults ever could. "I came to apologize," Darius said. His voice trembled. "I came as a father, not as a billionaire." Nalia laughed quietly, a sound without humor. "You came too late," she said. Her words were calm, deadly calm. Darius lowered his head. "I know." The elders began to gather. Village life paused, because elders know. Forgiveness is not private when harm was public. An elder stepped forward. "You stand on our land," he said. "Why?" Darius knelt, not symbolically. "Truly, I fired a woman who loved my child," he said. "I broke a home that was not mine, and my pride buried my daughter." Gasps rippled. Nalia's hands shook. The elder looked at her. "Do you wish to speak?" She hesitated. Then she spoke. "I warned him," she said. "I begged him. I stayed when others left." Her voice cracked. But love cannot survive where dignity is crushed. Darius looked up at her. Tears streamed freely now. "Say anything you want," he said. "Insult me. Curse me." Nalia shook her head. "I don't curse," she said. "I bury." The words fell like thunder. The elder spoke again. "Forgiveness is not a demand," he said. "It is a gift." He turned to Darius. "What will you do if she refuses?" Darius swallowed. "I will accept it," he said, "because my apology does not erase the damage." The elders nodded, because humility had finally spoken. Nalia looked at the ground, then at the sky, then back at Darius. "My child called you Papa," she said quietly, "but she called me Mother." Darius nodded. "I know now," he whispered. "She died believing you could still change." Nalia continued. The words hurt, But Darius did not defend himself. He listened. "I forgive you," Nalia said suddenly. The village inhaled. But forgiveness does not mean return. Silence followed. "I will not come back," she continued. "I will not erase my pain to comfort your guilt." Darius bowed his head. "Thank you," he said. "That is more than I deserve." The elder raised his staff. "Let it be known," he declared, "that forgiveness was given, but consequences remain." He turned to Darius. "You may leave your wealth behind," he said, "but grief will walk with you forever." Darius stood slowly. He looked at Nalia one last time. "I will honor her," he said, "every day." Nalia said nothing. As Darius walked away from the village, lighter yet forever broken, elders whispered. Some men lose everything before learning what mattered. Elders say, true redemption does not announce itself. It works quietly, like roots rebuilding a fallen tree. Darius Adebayo returned to the city alone. No headlines followed him. No cameras waited. No applause greeted his arrival. The gates of the Adebayo mansion opened slowly, as if unsure whether to welcome him back. He stepped inside, and for the first time, the mansion did not feel like home. It felt like a memorial. Days passed, then weeks. The offices waited. The board demanded meetings. The world expected him to return as the man he once was. But Darius did not return. Not to the boardroom. Not to power. Not to noise. He spent his days in Amara's room, sitting, listening to silence, learning its language. One morning, Mama Efua found him there. He was holding a small notebook. Amara's handwriting filled its pages. Uneven, playful, hopeful. Mama Efua cleared her throat. "Sir," she said gently, "life outside still moves." Darius nodded. "I know," he replied. Then he said something no one expected. "I want to build something," he said. Mama Efua's eyes softened. "Not a tower," he added. "Not a company. A promise." Within a month, rumors began to spread. But these rumors were different. Not about money. About change. The first announcement came quietly. Darius sold 3 luxury properties. No press release. No charity gala. The money funded something new. The Amara Foundation. Its mission was simple. To protect children through care, not control. To value caregivers as family, not staff. People were confused. This was not the Darius they knew. He visited hospitals, not VIP wards. Children's wards. He sat beside beds, held hands, listened. When parents cried, he did not offer money first. He offered presence. Elders say, when pride leaves a man, compassion finally enters. Then came the law. Darius used his influence, but differently this time. He pushed for caregiver protection policies. Domestic workers, nannies, maids, people once invisible. He stood before leaders and said, anyone who raises a child shares responsibility for that child's future. Some laughed, some resisted, but the law passed, and history shifted quietly. At the mansion, changes continued. No staff wore uniforms anymore. They chose their clothes. Meals were shared. Names were spoken. Stories were heard. Mama Efua once said, this house breathes again. But redemption is never complete without remembrance. On Amara's birthday, Darius did something final. He traveled back to Nalia's village. Not to ask, not to beg, but to give. He stood beneath the baobab tree. The same elders gathered. The same earth listened. He placed a small stone at the base of the tree. Carved into it were words. Amara, she taught me how to see. He spoke softly. I will never ask Nalia to return, he said, but I will honor what she gave. The elders nodded, because elders know. Some debts are paid forever. Nalia watched from a distance. She did not approach, but she smiled. Just once. And that was enough. Years passed. Children grew. The Amara Foundation expanded. Caregivers received respect. Homes changed. Stories changed. And the name Darius Adebayo was spoken differently now, not as a billionaire, but as a warning, and a lesson. One evening, long after the sun had set, Darius sat alone beneath the stars. He spoke aloud. "Amara," he whispered, "I didn't save you, but you saved me." The wind moved through the trees. And elders say, when a lesson is learned too late, it becomes a gift to the future. A man who fires love will bury regret, but a man who honors love will live remembered.